As the clock ticks down to the 2024 presidential election, the political landscape is heating up with one of the most polarizing questions in recent memory. Is Donald Trump fit to run for president again? This November, Americans will make a choice that will determine the nation's trajectory for years to come. With President Joe Biden stepping aside, the Democratic ticket now features President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. On the Republican side, Donald Trump is attempting a political comeback with his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. As these two powerful tickets prepare to face off in a series of upcoming presidential debates, the country is eagerly awaiting answers. These debates promise to be more than an exchange of policy positions. They are likely to serve as a referendum on Trump's fitness to lead. This question will be front and center as the nation tunes in, and the responses may very well influence the final decision at the polls. Donald Trump's attempt to return to the presidency in 2024 is unprecedented in modern American politics. Having served as the 45th president, Trump is now trying to become only the second former president to be reelected in non-consecutive terms, following in the footsteps of Grover Cleveland. Trump's campaign is built on the promise of restoring what he calls American greatness, but his run has reignited a national debate about his qualifications and his suitability for the role. Trump's previous term was marked by significant controversy, from his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic to his combative style of governance and communication. The 2020 election, which he lost to Joe Biden, was followed by Trump's unsubstantiated claims of widespread voter fraud, culminating in the January 6th Capitol riot. These events have led to ongoing discussions about Trump's role in undermining democratic norms and institutions. Supporters argue that Trump represents a necessary shakeup of the political establishment, while critics claim his leadership threatens the core principles of democracy. The upcoming presidential debates will be a critical platform for Donald Trump to address concerns about his fitness to run and outline his vision for America. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz will aim to challenge Trump directly, focusing on controversies from his previous term and presenting their alternative policies. Trump will likely use his aggressive debate style to rally his base, emphasizing themes of economic nationalism, border security, and law and order. Harris and Walz, on the other hand, will seek to keep Trump on the defensive, questioning his past actions and advocating for their vision of stability, healthcare, climate action, and social justice. Their strategy will be to appeal beyond their base, reaching out to independents and moderate Republicans wary of Trump's approach. Several critical issues are expected to dominate the debates, each offering a lens through which to assess Trump's fitness to run. Trump's management of the COVID-19 crisis remains a contentious issue. The debates will likely revisit his administration's response, including the initial downplaying of the virus, the push for rapid vaccine development, and the emphasis on reopening the economy. Harris and Walz will likely argue that Trump's approach led to unnecessary deaths and chaos, while Trump will defend his decisions as balancing public health with economic stability. Trump's role in the events of January 6, 2021 will undoubtedly be a focal point. Critics argue that his rhetoric and refusal to accept the 2020 election results incited violence and threatened the democratic process. Trump will need to address these concerns, possibly by reframing the narrative around election integrity and his supporters' grievances. Harris and Walz will use this as an opportunity to argue that Trump's actions disqualify him from holding public office again. Economic concerns are always a factor in presidential debates. With inflation impacting American households, Trump will likely criticize the Biden administration's economic policies and promote his tax cuts and deregulation strategies as remedies for economic woes. Harris and Walz will need to highlight the successes of the Biden administration in job creation and infrastructure investment while offering concrete plans to tackle inflation. Immigration policy remains a divisive issue. Trump is expected to double down on his calls for strict immigration controls and the completion of the border wall. He will frame these measures as necessary for national security and economic stability. Harris, who has handled immigration issues as vice president, will likely advocate for comprehensive immigration reform, including pathways to citizenship and addressing root causes of migration. With global tensions on the rise, foreign policy will be a critical area of debate. Trump's America First approach, characterized by withdrawal from international agreements and strained relationships with allies, will be contrasted with the Biden administration's efforts to restore alliances and engage in multilateral diplomacy. Harris and Waltz will argue for a balanced approach that maintains American leadership on the global stage while addressing domestic concerns. Social issues and justice, which include topics such as abortion rights, gun control, and racial justice, will likely come up during the debates. Trump is expected to appeal to conservative voters by emphasizing traditional values and law and order. Harris and Waltz, on the other hand, will advocate for reproductive rights, sensible gun control measures, and racial equity, presenting themselves as champions of progressive social policies. The media's portrayal of the debates will significantly influence public perception. Trump's ability to command attention and dominate the media cycle is well known, and his performance will likely generate extensive coverage. However, the focus will not only be on what Trump says, but also on how he says it. Any missteps or inflammatory remarks could fuel narratives questioning his temperament and suitability for office. For Harris and Waltz, the challenge will be to break through Trump's media dominance and effectively communicate their message. They will need to demonstrate a clear vision for the future, appealing to voters who are looking for stability and progress. Their success will depend on their ability to articulate their policies compellingly while drawing a sharp contrast with Trump's approach. Ultimately, voters will be looking for answers to several critical questions. Can Donald Trump be trusted to respect democratic norms and institutions? Will his policies lead to economic stability and prosperity? Does he have a clear and realistic plan for the future, or is his campaign simply a rehash of past grievances? Harris and Waltz will need to convince voters that they offer a better path forward, one that builds on the successes of the Biden administration while addressing its shortcomings. They will need to show that they can unite a divided nation and provide effective leadership in challenging times. As the 2024 presidential debates draw nearer, they will be a crucial turning point in the election. The key issue will be Donald Trump's fitness to run, which will shape discussions and sway voters. For Trump, the debates are a chance to prove that he is the leader America needs during uncertain times. For Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they offer an opportunity to present a vision of stability, progress, and democratic values. Ultimately, the debates will be less about policy specifics and more about who can inspire confidence in their leadership. The outcomes could very well decide the next occupant of the White House, making these debates a defining moment for the 2024 election and for America's future. With the stakes so high, the answers that emerge could shape the nation for years to come. We'll be following these developments and more, so stay tuned for the latest updates.